Greetings and welcome back to another demo video for Redeem the Resistance card game. And this video is going to center around the final battle, perhaps the most exciting facet of the game if you get to it. The reason I put it that way is if all of your cards are turned over like this in defeat, then there's no way we're going to get to the final battle. The game is over. But you do get to the final battle, the War card, it's called, when the home deck is depleted. We've both pulled from it, there's nothing left, and both sides still have cards that are alive. So the way that we finish the game is with a final battle to discover which side is going to be the ultimate winner. So as you can see, I've played around with a friend of mine who left it in pretty decent hands from me. As you can see on my side, the Angels of Resistance side, all of my characters are alive. They're pretty healthy. They have upgrades. I also was able to earn some anti-hero cards. I defeated Eric Argento and added him to my front lines. I also was able to defeat Infernos, the sorcerer, and I added him to my front lines. So I'm pretty stacked and ready for the war. My opponent, unfortunately, only had 3 characters remaining towards the end of the game, and one of his characters he was unable to bring back to life. So at this point, he's left with 2 characters, but we're both sort of evenly matched in a sense of the value of cards we have. So my opponent has perhaps more value as far as the cards that have the white numbers on them. He may have more value cards than I do, because I was unable to defeat the Demon Lord. He beat me, and that's 30 points right there, 10, 20, 30. But he was unable to defeat one of his villains and another, so he may be lacking 15 compared to my 30. So it could be evenly matched. If he can win this war, he can get 30 points added to his spoils. And at the end of the game, when we count up the value of cards we have, he could pull it out. But chances are I'm going to win this thing, because it looks like I'm in a prime position to win the war. And how we fight the war is no different than how you fight battles. So whoever goes first gets to pick a character to fight, and then chooses an opponent, and then fights that opponent. No matter what happens after that, it's this person's turn, and they get to now pick a character to attack or challenge one of mine. And it just goes back and forth until one side has no cards left. And the player that has at least one card left is declared the winner and gets to take the card. Now, as you're playing the game, you may come across this card. If you do, you draw it and you put it here next to the home deck facing you. So in this case, the opponent that I'm playing against drew this card, so he placed it here facing him, meaning he gets to go first against me. And how it plays out is there's a pre-war phase, and since he drew the card and I did not, he gets to decide if he wants to do anything before the war begins, and then I get to decide the same. So if we take a look at his action cards, right off the bat it looks like he has a redemption card, meaning he can fight a character perhaps he wasn't able to defeat earlier. He has a cash guard to prevent me from stealing from him, and the 2 cards he really will need the most: a critical strike card and an incantation card. 2 cards that are going to upgrade their power during the war. In this case, this card is sort of useless because I'm not going to steal anything from him. He could use this redemption card to fight a villain, but in this case, let's serve our purposes, and I'll just show you how the war could play out. So he'll get to go first. He perhaps could choose, let's say, Arl Balin. It looks like he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power points. So he's going to probably try to defeat someone who is, I guess, weaker than him. And he could go against a Spirit Warrior. He only has 3. And if he does challenge me, he's most likely going to win. So he has, let's see, he's got 6. I could win this actually, and I'll show you how. I could play the Magic and Muscle card, which would allow me to add a magical character mix, and that would be Eric or Gento. So now I have a Magic and Muscle team up, and I definitely blow this character out of the water. I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 compared to his 6. He could use this critical strike card if he wants against me. This would bring him from 6 to 8. I still would be in the lead, and I can use my flight card because this character can fly. That would add 2. It's not looking good essentially for this character. So we'll say for the time being, this is what I've done. He is unable to defeat me, so I take his items since I defeated him. He turns over in death, and I put this card that I used to bring Eric Argento into my spoils. He comes back to where he was in victory, and so do I. And now I get to choose who's going to fight next. I only have one character to fight. It's Mary Dyer. She's got 2, 4. So she only has 4 power points. I think I am going to use Maxim Cavallo. He's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 against 4. It's not looking very good for him. He has an incantation card, but alas, she is not a magician, so there's nothing really she can use. She is defeated, as is my opponent. I took no losses at all, so I take the war card in victory, and now we count what's left in our spoils and our front lines. You don't get to count what's in your hand. You only count what's on the front lines and in your spoils. So, even though I wasn't able to defeat some villains, I think I'm certainly going to win this game because I won the war, and I get to count this card and many others, and I get to count all of these cards. This character and this character. So chances are, mathematically, I am going to win the game. So it was a well-fought game to get to this point, but when I got to war, I just had the better team up, and this war did not last very long at all. He was defeated pretty quickly. But wars can be very exciting, especially if it's balanced. In this case, it was very unbalanced. I had a very, very powerful team, which could happen to you in a round of this game. You could build up quite an army. I started out with 3 characters, and I ended up with, well, as you can see, I ended up with 6. I cleaned up pretty well. So anyway, this is how you would fight a war. It's just a back and forth until one side is defeated, and that's it. So I hope you if you do get to the war stage, you have as much fun as I usually do when I play this game. Until next time, happy playing.